Hello, my name is Stacey K. Roach, and I'm here with you guys today for a new episode of the Rebrand and Rebuilding Community. I'm here with you guys today with a new guest on my show. I'll let him introduce himself and we'll jump right in.
Hi, Stacey. My name is John. I am the founder of CustomMobile.app. As you know, we're a small agency that builds mobile apps for podcasters and content creators. It's nice to speak with you, and thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you for taking the time to schedule with me. I wanted to jump in first and I want to talk about the podcast app because I kind of, started dealing with you going about the business just to see how it goes when it comes to having a podcast app. So I know you guys, you're focused on allowing the podcast host and the owners of the show to be in more control over their, their listeners. So how does that work?
Yeah, so we consider all of our customers, our podcasters, to be small business owners. And yes, that takes a little bit of education sometimes. Podcasters, a lot of indie podcasters don't naturally think of themselves as small business owners, but the ones that do know that it's really important to turn your listeners into customers. So they have a goal of building an audience, yes, but bringing that audience to their home, whatever that means to them. So that home may be your website, most likely. So you bring them to your website where they can engage you further. You can start forming that relationship with your listeners directly, instead of through a third party like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Those are other apps that your listeners are listening to your content on, as well as other podcasts. And I use them too. They're great. They're useful. But you as a business owner want your listeners to come to your home, so they can convert, eventually become a customer. That's the end goal, because content creators need income to make their operations sustainable. You want to continue doing what you love, creating content, and that takes money. And so one of the goals of being a podcaster and a content creator has to be, how do I turn my listeners, or some of my listeners, into financial supporters? And that really only happens on your website. And if you have a mobile app, that can happen on your app too. So we enable that second piece where you as a podcaster can have an app for your own show, not a shared app with all the other podcasts in the universe, but just an app for your own show that your listeners can download and yes, get your podcast, but everything else that you offer, and the ability to convert in that app to becoming a customer or a donor or a subscriber on your email list. Whatever you want your listeners to do, they can do that on your app.
The app. Yes, because listen, I bought into it and I'm so excited to see how everything turns out. And like you say, a lot of people have websites, and I own 2 domains, but I really wanted to think outside the box. And I felt like having an app for that podcast would be great because, I was one of the indie podcast hosts that didn't think it was a business. I didn't even think I could make money from podcasting. So when PodMatch found me and, they sent me an email and I joined their team, I was just amazed with how much feedback and support that I was getting from my podcast. Every people wanted just to be on the show, including you. I was very excited. I didn't think the podcast would make an effect like it did. So that to me was a blessing in disguise. And then, coming across you and then you guys doing the app. So that really helped me out a whole lot. And for anyone that's listening, could you tell them how could they get started? If they have a podcast and they decide to say, you know what, I want to do an app. How can they sign up? How can they get started with you guys?
Well, first of all, Stacey, thank you for helping me share the news, because very few people know that this is even an option for them. They think building an app is very expensive, and it is. It is very expensive to build your own app. I've tried to do it myself a couple of years ago. I tried to make my own app for a different business, and it can go upwards of $100,000 to build your own mobile app from scratch. So for most content creators and podcasters, it's not even on the table. They're not even considering it an option. And the companies that do offer an app as part of their podcast hosting, for example, like Libsyn and these other companies, the cost is prohibitive. It's too expensive for most indie podcasters to afford. So I believe we're the only company that lets you have an app for your podcast at the prices that we offer, and it's $25 a month for one show. And we're not doing any advertising. It's all word of mouth. So thank you for giving me the chance to share with your listeners that we're here and we can do this for your show if you think it makes sense. So folks can find us on our website. Custommobile.app is the URL, and you'll find everything about us there.
Yes, I love that. Like you said, for podcast hosts such as myself, we didn't even think that this was an option. So now to know that it is, and then for us still at $25 a month for your first show. So that is great, because eventually I'm going to move up, because I need to be able to have all of my merch and everything. I want to be able to download that app and to be able to to purchase my coaching services, to purchase my audio, my webinars, my seminars. I want everything to be all in one, and then for me to be able to control it. So thank you for allowing me, the chance to have my own app, and then even to put it out there for the world to hear, to see how they can have theirs. So I have another question. How did you end up doing what you're doing now? Like I know you said, it's a lot of, apps and stuff out there, or brands and companies out there that they're doing the same thing, and it's kind of costly. So what made you guys start doing what you're doing? Like, how did you get into creating, and is that part of coding, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, so this is part of the journey I just alluded to. A couple of years ago, I tried to build my own app. I tried to make a social podcast app, kind of like Anchor or Clubhouse, something like that, where podcast listeners could interact with each other. So that was the initial idea a couple of years ago. I thought, this doesn't exist. I'm going to be the one to build this. And that started my journey in software entrepreneurship.
So,
like I said...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like I said, that's where I discovered how expensive it is to build my own app from scratch. I hired an agency out of South Carolina, worked with them for close to a year, borrowed and spent all of my savings to build this app, which in the end didn't even go out the door. It was a very difficult, challenging experience. But in that process, I learned a ton. And in the middle of COVID, I realized this was not going to work. This product I was building was not going to work. It was not going to sell. I wasn't going to make any money from it. And so I had to make a decision. I wasn't going to give up, but I had to figure out a way to turn this into a business that could eventually sustain itself, and I could repay my debts and turn it around, because there were family and friends that were in it with me, that believed in me and lent me money and invested, and I wasn't going to let them down. So
yes. I love that. So being an entrepreneur, like I say, especially in the world of coding, like, people think it's really easy to code. People think it's easy to be an entrepreneur, and you're going to fail a million times before you finally get, that one success, that one win, and that one thing that gets you to where you want to be. That's, you know what? Like, I can say I made it. I leveled up. Like, as an entrepreneur for you in the coding world, how does it feel? And like you said before, the journey is not easy. It was tough. You lost your money. That was your savings.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of risk involved, especially when you're naive like I was and going into something without experience, just with a lot of passion. A lot of mistakes were made, but I don't regret any of the mistakes, and I don't regret having started the journey, because I've learned so much, and I'm still on the journey. I have by no means made it. This project is by no means guaranteed to be successful. Like, I'm in the middle of the journey now. Yeah. And this conversation with you, this is just another conversation on the journey of building this business to becoming something sustainable and something that can be of value. And so I'm in the middle of it right now. I'm building this business one customer at a time. Like I said, I'm not doing any advertising, not because I don't want to, it's because there is no budget for advertising. The only budget I have is my manpower and my time. And so I reach out to podcasters like I did to you, one-on-one, and I try to start conversations and communicate the value of what we're offering, and hopefully enough of our customers find success with their app and for their shows that it starts to spread by word of mouth. And that's when I'll know it. I've made it, when the word of mouth of our customers are actually bringing in new customers, and it starts to snowball from there.
Well, I'm excited to be on this journey with you in the middle of it. I'll get to say, I know I met John Lee when he first got started in the midst of, taking this path and building this business. So I'm actually excited to say that I got to meet you, especially in the midst of it, because a lot of people, like you said, they only see after you've made it. They only see after you've became a success, and they don't see, like you said, the trials and tribulations. They don't see the obstacles that you had to face. They don't see all the crazy mistakes that we make leading up to this point. So I'm excited to be able to have you on my show before you make it huge, where I'm not going to be able to talk to you. You're not gonna, eventually you're going to get to the point where you can't get to you just, directly. You're going to have to go through some people to get to you. So I'm excited to be able to do that. I do have another question.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
I appreciate that sentiment. Personally, just so you know, I never want to get to that point. Personally, I never want to, become that kind of a person or that kind of a success where, I'm not accessible to my customers.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes to what is my definition of success? And that's also something that's evolved over time on this journey. What does success mean to me? To me, personally, success means freedom. So more freedom and more time with my family and friends. Yeah. And that's what this business, I hope eventually will give me. And I already love my work. I have a day job that I enjoy. I'm in the kind of work that I feel like is a good fit for me. So I'm already blessed. This is just another side project that I'm working on to see where it goes. Mm-hmm. And so that's success for me. Success for me would not be to be a CEO of a huge company and be backed by a venture capitalist. No, not at all. For me, it would be to serve my customers, to know them one-on-one and to be of value to them, but also for the business to give myself and my family more freedom to build relationships and spend time with each other. So that would be success for me.
Yes, I agree. I love all of that. Like I said, I'm in the business of what I'm doing now because of the freedoms that comes with it, and that's what I'm hoping to, like you said, not only for me but my family and generations to come. That's why I'm working so hard to get to where I need to be. Every move is, it has to count. I've made a lot of mistakes in the beginning of my coaching career, and like I said, turning this podcast into an actual business is something that like I say, it just happened out the blue, and I didn't think that it could be something huge, and I'm actually excited that it is. I'm excited that I have the opportunity to even, monetize it, to turn it into something else. This is not even the podcasting journey. It's not even really what I want to do, but this journey will lead me eventually to where I want to go. It's just a stepping stone for me. So I'm very, I'm excited about that. I'm happy. It's something that I'm having to adjust to and to balance. So I know you said that you have a day job. So do I. So, and I'm also doing this. I have a few different businesses on the side that I'm trying to hustle up and get off the ground. So how do you find the balance between it all? Your family, your work, your business,
Yeah, that's also been a journey, a learning journey, how to balance all these things I want to do with the things that are most important, which is time with my family and friends, quality of life. So for me, I've realized that if I'm going to get something done, it's going to have to happen during the workday. So somewhere between 8 and 5. So anything related to work, whether it's my day job or my side hustle, I try to fit somewhere during the day. And then at 5 o'clock when I log off, I really do log off from everything.
Yeah. You don't check emails or anything. You just...
Yes. Yeah. I focus on playing with my son and meeting our friends and doing play dates. Usually on the weekends, I don't take calls either, but I took one for you because I know how hard you're working and how little time you have. So that's why yeah, I made time to speak
Thank
with you
you.
on
I
Sunday.
really appreciate it.
No,
Because you
thank
know
you.
what?
Thank you.
My schedule has been really hectic. Like I've been going from project to project. Like literally in the last month, I've been to probably 4 to 6 different states. Like I went from Texarkana, Texas to Dallas, Texas, and then we went from there to St. Mary's, Ohio, then from St. Mary's, Ohio to Chicago, and now I'm on my way to North Dakota. Like it's been really crazy for me. I love my day job. I love doing what I do. And this is the first time for me that I've worked the job and I'm like, okay, I love it. Because anybody know me, I hate working in the capacity like that where I'm clocking in and out on a time clock. I don't like that. So that's it's the time freedom for me. But with these projects, I can accept or deny what I choose to do, and then you know what, the accommodations, they really take care of us. Because I said I'm driving from South Carolina all the way to North Dakota. That was a 28-hour drive. Like I had to stop in between, but they're paying me to get there. So I felt like if you can pay me to show up, like, you know, but even before I get to work, like to me, I love that, you know, whether it's, you know, by plane, bus, train, car, I'm showing up. So I'm learning the whole balance thing, and I'm thankful that, you know, you took the time to speak to me on a Sunday. So, you know, it kind of worked out for me, and I'm trying to get to where, like you said, from 8 to 5, that's my, you know, the business, my work, I'm handling that. And then when I log off, I'm logging off. So I'm learning to balance everything. It's still kind of hectic, and I'm not quite there yet, but slowly but surely it's coming along. And I'm excited about my journey, because just looking back at, you know, the past few years, going through divorce, going through, you know, being homeless and dang near broke, like I came a long way in the last 2 years. Like I can really see that my commitment, my dedication, and me being loyal to what I do, you know, is really paying off. So it's just all about staying committed, you know, and keep going and not giving up. So I'm excited for everything that I've done.
That's incredible. Yeah, no, that's incredible to hear. And there are seasons, right? There are different seasons in our lives, and definitely in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, there was no 8 to 5. There was no turning off, right? It was, and my kid was very young, so there was no time off, no personal time. So there are different seasons in life, and I think, it's okay to embrace that part of the journey. And you've definitely, it sounds like you've got a clear goal in mind. You know exactly where you want to go and the steps to get there. That is focus, and your life, I'm sure, is filled with meaning because of that purpose.
Yes.
Having that purpose makes everything meaningful. What you're sacrificing becomes meaningful because you've got that goal in mind. I'm sure so many people would love to live as full a life and have these experiences that you're having. I think, that's one of the sad parts about our modern society. I think a lot of people are kind of rudderless. They don't have that driving purpose that gives everything, gives our lives meaning the way I hear in your voice that you have.
Well, you know what? It's most definitely there. I can feel it. And like I said, 2 years ago, I would have never thought I would be right here where I am, chasing my dreams. And I'm not even going to say chasing them, because I'm just aligning myself with them. And everything's coming to me. I'm not having to chase behind anything and force anything. It's just coming naturally once you get in alignment with who you truly are and what you truly want. And block out everything that people are trying to tell you should have. Like I said, every week we're here in America, and everybody wants the American dream, but that's just not for everybody, you know? Some people don't want to work a 9 to 5. Some people don't want to go to college, and I'm not saying college is a bad thing, because it opens doors. It gives you the education that you need, but there are also many other avenues that you can take other than, you know, sports and going to college. I mean, so we all came here with a purpose and a dream, and it's sad that, like you said, our society today, a lot of people are just doing the mundane. A lot of people are just paying the bills and taking care of their family, but they're not truly happy. Like they love their spouse, they love their children, but they hate the life that they're living with the whole 9 to 5 and coming home and doing it all over again the next day. It gets draining, and I was there a lot of times, and I knew that wasn't for me, and I had to figure out a way to get out of that, and it wasn't easy. Like I said, my opportunity came through divorce and homelessness. I ended up turning that and making something of it, and it opened up the opportunity for me to actually truly find myself, truly listen to what I want without the outside world pressuring me and telling me how they think I should live. Family, friends, just, everyone. I just had to get to myself. I really had to meditate on what it is that I wanted, and that's where I am now. And I'm still, like you said, I'm in the midst of the journey. I'm not even there yet. I wouldn't say I'm a success yet. I wouldn't say that I hit that level. Like, I do eventually want to get to the point where you can't get to me directly, like, especially when it comes to my schedule. Like, just having a personal assistant. Like you said, I don't need to be a big CEO. I just want to have it where everything is automated. Like, it's going. And all I'm doing is just showing up. And just, being in alignment. Like, that's all I want to be able to do.
Yeah. Just hearing you speak, it reminds me of something I heard a psychologist say. Like, there was a psychologist that sees patients all the time, and he would ask his patients, what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you? And then after they'd say that, he'd ask them, what's the best thing that's ever happened to you? And a lot of times, those would be the same event. And what I'm hearing from you is like, the worst thing, or one of the worst things that's happened to you, actually has turned around to become perhaps one of the best things that's happened to you. It's that turning point. It sounds like in your story.
Yes. And it's not easy, and it was not hard. I mean, it was very hard, and I wouldn't tell anyone just to go get divorced, because I wouldn't wish that for anyone. And if I could have made my marriage work, I most definitely, certainly would have. I've tried to do everything that I could to make it work, and sometimes some things are out of our control, and it's nothing that, we can do or not do to make things better. Sometimes, like you said, when things are falling apart, they're actually falling in line, and we just have to look at it that way. It's all about perception, and that's what I've been learning, to change my thought process. And even when I'm having a rough day and things are not going my way, I'm starting to think, maybe things are going the way that they need to go. They may not be going the way that I planned, but everything happens for a reason. So yeah, like I'm learning slowly, and it's the process. I'm a learner of life, and as long as I'm here on earth, I'm never going to stop learning. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor, I'm a life coach. I have certain certifications, but I always let my clients know. I came from the CNA in the home health care world, so I'm having to transition from patients to clients. But yes, I let my clients know that, especially when I come across someone that needs more help than what I can give them. Some people are sick. Some people have, childhood traumas, or just certain traumas that it does take a doctor. It does take a licensed therapist, a counselor, a psychologist to help you get to where you need to be. And that's another thing I'm trying to get in place, where I have a referral program where I can refer my clients to and get them the help that they need, get them the resources that they need beyond what I can do. Because I'm just inspiration. I'm here to motivate and inspire, and I'm a coach. I'm gonna cheer you to the finish line. But it's a lot of things that I know is beyond what I can do. So I most definitely would love to partner up with just different people from different backgrounds, especially licensed therapists, counselors, the whole nine. I would love to be able to do that, to like I said, give my clients everything that they need, even if it's not coming from me. You still have the help, you still have the resources in place to get you where you need to be.
Stacey, can I ask you a personal question?
Yes, go ahead.
I heard in your answer, I think the key, one of the keys to getting through this life and living it well, and you said, I believe there is a purpose in everything. Did you say that? Mm-hmm. Where does that faith, that belief come from?
You know what? My faith, I went through a lot of things as a child. Like I had it really, really hard growing up. As I've been getting older, my life has been starting to get easier. Like, as a young kid, I had to take care of myself, and then 5 other siblings. My parents, I'm not judging. I love my parents to death. They just wasn't what we needed them to be at that time during our lives as children. They didn't know how. They did the best with, they did the best that they can with what they had and what they knew. And I had to learn at an early age that all I have is me. Like, and going to church, I had my grandmother before she passed, and just friends of the family. People, they always kept me in church, always kept my head in the Bible, always spoke, they always spoke faith into me, and that's where my faith comes from. That's, being able to depend on myself and knowing that I have an inner guidance that God put there for me, and knowing that I have a purpose as long as I walk within my faith and not lose my hope. That's what keeps me strong. But at an early age, I learned how to do this, and that's why I'm great at it now. Like, it just comes natural now. But when you're a kid, between 10 and 13 years old, I was a child. I didn't really know how to defend for myself, but having faith and praying and my hope, that's what got me to where I am. So that's what got me on where everything has a purpose. I felt like I went through what I went through at an early age so I could be as wise as I am now, so I can guide a lot of other people. And that's really what I want to do. I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I was a teen mom. I got pregnant at 15. I got married early, divorced early. So I would most definitely love to write books for other teen moms. There's really no guideline on telling you how to go about it, especially when you're a kid trying to raise a kid. It was hard. So my patience, my faith, my hope, everything grew from childhood to where I am now, and I'm 31 years old. So yes.
Yeah. No, I love that, and I'm with you. My faith is the same. My faith that there is a purpose to everything, every event, every suffering, tragedy, comes from faith in God, that He is with me and He loves me and He's got a purpose for me. And I wish that for everyone. I think it's such a power to live with that belief, that mindset, that worldview. And I wish that for everyone.
I do. You know what? I couldn't imagine my life without it. Like I said, I believe that I went through everything that I was supposed to go to get me to where I am today, and even where I'm trying to go in the future. And I try not to dwell on the past or live too much in the future. I try to stay in the present moment and live out each moment, and be grateful for the time that I have with the people that I have around me. Like I said, my mom is still living, my dad is still living. They're still dealing with issues that they had going on from when they were children, and I'm so happy that I get to be around and I get to experience, because my mom, I love her to death. She just didn't know how to be a mom. She had so many things that happened to her. She lost her mom at an early age. It really shed a light on why she was the way she was, and her thought process, her friends that she chose, even to the relationships. Like, I understand my mom better now because I've been going through a lot of the same similar things that she's been going through. Before I was blaming, if you would have raised me better, I would came out better, and now I'm looking at more so, like I say, it's about your perspective. And now I'm on, if it wasn't for all of that, I wouldn't have gained all the faith and all the strength, the courage. I wouldn't be Stacy. I wouldn't be as strong as I am if it wasn't for me going through all of that, the trauma, and going through, at an early age, I experienced disaster. So it started becoming, like second nature, and I had to really get that out of me. Like, I was at a point where I only expected the worst because that's all I ever had since childhood. But I learned along the way that if you expect the worst, that's what you're gonna get. And until you start expecting the best, and even in those moments of disaster and tragedy or whatever you're going through, you have to find the silver lining. You have to find a way to smile. And you have to find a way to really feel it deep down in your soul. Because we can all pretend to smile and, and act like we feel good. But it's all about how you feel. And you have to get there. So, and I learned that early. So I'm happy to be able to guide other people now. So
as you're speaking, I'm reminded also, I think it was in my late 20s where I realized my parents were human beings. It's funny, we get to a certain age and I think back to my parents and how they raised me, and realized, they were just doing the best they could. They were making mistakes, and I remember those mistakes. But at the same time, I was old enough to realize that they were human beings just doing the best they could. And so that helped me also forgive them for the mistakes they made. So
it's not
that
easy
came to
being a
mind.
parent, and now I'm a parent, so I can say that now.
Exactly.
It's not easy,
Yeah.
and like you said, no, it's no guidebook. We have people all the time telling us, like society telling us what a family should look like and what it should be, but do you feel that way in your heart, deep down in your soul? Like, we all have our own walk, our own path to take when it comes to this thing we call life. And how we do it is solely based on us. And we have to live it to our fullest potential. So becoming a parent for me, like I said, and then been not really having parents, having people to support me, like that really motivated me to be a better parent. That motivated me to take parenting classes, to read parenting books. Like, I was literally going all out because I didn't know what it took. Like, I didn't know, I never had a supporting mother and father around. I love them, but they're still here today, and when I can call them now, my mom will have a better relationship. My dad, we're still working on it, but he still have things that he's healing and dealing with that has nothing to do with me, and I had to accept and realize that sometimes what I'm feeling may not be what his intentions are, is because he has his life. We all have shit that we have to deal with, but like I said, I went through the whole parenting thing, and we have a lot of books and stuff now, but I don't think anyone can tell you how to parent. That it's different for each and every one of us, just like our purpose is different.
Yeah, I agree. Another idea that I came across this week, which is coming to mind as you're speaking about all the difficulties you've gone through, especially growing up, is this idea that our bodies and minds have evolved or have been built to face challenge and uncertainty. Like, if you just think about like evolution, I don't know if you believe in evolution or not, but let's just assume that's true. And every living organism is here because their ancestors have faced uncertainty and faced challenge and survived. And so my body and my mind is designed to face uncertainty and face challenge.
Yes.
And if it doesn't get that, then it starts to break down. So I think of exercise. If we don't walk or put pressure on our bones every single day, they start to atrophy and our body starts to break down. So the body actually needs pressure. Mm-hmm. It needs stress in order to maintain itself and grow. Same thing, I think, for our minds. We've evolved to face uncertainty and the future, the uncertain future and different challenges that come upon us. And we are most activated when that happens and we grow as human beings. Of course, we need to rest in between periods of stress. So there's that work and rest rhythm. But
it's a balance. Everything is a balance.
Yeah.
It's all about balance. I most definitely
yeah.
believe in evolution. I believe that if we don't continue to grow, like you said, we will break down. That's when we become sick. That's when we become depressed and stressed. And a lot of times you say our body needs that, but too much of it will take us out of here. So we have to have an equal balance between everything, but we have to continue to grow and move forward and evolve. And when you don't, like you said, a lot of times the dramas, the tragedies, the traumas that we go through them just so we can grow and evolve. But a lot of people, when they become bitter and they come mad at the world, it's because you stopped yourself from growing. Instead of, taking those painful times and painful moments and memories and using that to, fuel you to grow and do better and be better and start making wiser choices and decisions, we give up. We say, you know what, I've been through this, so to hell with it. And we give up on life, we give up on ourselves, and we become bitter and we become angry and we become sick and we become depressed and we just become something that, like you said, was never meant for humanity to be. We bring a lot of things on ourselves. So yes, I agree with you. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I can relate. I've been to, I went to therapy. During my divorce and all that, I had counseling, and it really helped me heal all the trauma from childhood. It really helped me change my perspective and get back in the race and to continue to grow, continue to do what I know I need to do for me and, live my life the way I want to live it. So before we get out of here, do you have any last words? Because I'm so happy. I'm thankful that you came on here. I'm grateful for all the advice. I'm grateful for everything that you've done so far since I met you, especially the podcast app, because we're gonna be in good business with each other.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for the time to just have a good conversation with you. If any of your listeners want to check us out, again, they can find us at custommobile.app. And if they say they came through Stacy, then we're happy to give them their first month free.
Y'all hear that now? Just put my name in, because you can get that for you. Hey, you can't beat free. I love free. But thank you, John. I don't want to hold you up any longer. And we will be in contact, because I'm so excited about my podcast. My app. So, yeah. So thank you again. And I really appreciate you coming on here. Are you on social media? IG, Facebook, TikTok, anything?
We're on Twitter. You can find us at Pod Squad Inc. But the website is the best place to go, and okay. I'm not so active on IG anymore.
Okay, look, he sounds just so nice. You know what? I love IG. I'm still trying to get with the TikTok thing, but I kind of like IG. But yeah, thank you. We'll most definitely go there, and I most definitely want to get that referral program started. Just mention my name, Stacey K. Roach. Get your podcast app free for the first month. Thank you.